Picture this. You're Pedro Pascal. Yeah, that Pedro Pascal. You're walking the red carpet, cameras everywhere, fans screaming your name. And what's going through your head? Oh God, everyone's staring. Don't trip. Don't say something stupid. Why is my face doing that thing? Here's what blew my mind when I first learned this. Even someone who seems that confident, he literally presses his hand to his chest when he's anxious, like physically grounding himself so he doesn't float away. If Pedro Pascal gets social anxiety, what does that say about the rest of us? Look, social anxiety isn't just being shy. It's not something you can just get over. It's your brain literally hijacking your body because it thinks you're about to die. But here's the thing. Once you understand what's actually happening up there, you can work with it instead of against it. And that's exactly what we're doing today. Okay, real talk for a second. Raise your hand if this sounds familiar. You walk into a party, your chest gets tight, your palms start sweating, and suddenly your brain becomes this paranoid narrator. Everyone's looking at you. They think you're weird. You should probably just leave. Sound about right? That's social anxiety, and it's not your fault. Your brain has one job, keep you alive. So when it sees a room full of people who might judge you, it hits the panic button because thousands of years ago, being rejected by your tribe meant death. Your brain hasn't gotten the memo that Karen from accounting probably isn't going to exile you for stumbling over your words. But here's what's wild. You can actually retrain this. You can teach your brain that social situations aren't life or death. So what's going on up there? When you walk into that room full of people, your amygdala, that's your brain's alarm system, it starts screaming, literally screaming. It's like having a smoke detector that goes off every time you make toast, except the toast is having a conversation. Your heart starts racing, your thoughts spiral, everything feels like a threat. That person laughing, they're definitely laughing at you. Someone checking their phone, they're probably texting about how awkward you are. It's exhausting, right? And here's the cruel irony. The more you avoid social situations because of this, the scarier they become. Your brain goes, "See? I told you it was dangerous." But listen, your brain is trainable. It's like a really paranoid dog that can learn new tricks. You just need to know how to speak its language. And I'm about to show you exactly how. Let's start strong with the first technique, the anchor method. When your brain starts freaking out, it needs something, anything to hold on to, something real, something you control. Here's what you do. Find your anchor. Could be tapping your thumb and finger together, could be pressing your feet into the ground, could be focusing on one object in the room and really studying it. The key? It has to be subtle and it has to be yours. Pedro does the chest thing. Some people touch their necklace, others trace circles with their thumb. What you're doing is giving your panicked brain a job. Instead of scanning for threats, it's focused on this one tiny thing, and that breaks the spiral. I remember the first time I tried this. I was at a networking event, feeling like everyone could see right through me. So I started focusing on this little crack in the wall. Weird? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. My breathing slowed down. The chatter in my head got quieter. And suddenly, I could actually hear what people were saying to me. Try it. Pick your anchor. Practice it at home. Make it automatic. Because when anxiety hits, you won't have time to think. You need this to be muscle memory. Ready to flip the script? Let's dive into technique. The great flip C. Social anxiety loves making you the main character of a horror movie where everyone's the villain. You walk in and it's like spotlight on you. Everyone's watching, everyone's judging. But what if I told you that's not actually what's happening? What if I told you that most people are so worried about how they look, they barely notice you? Here's the flip. Instead of obsessing over what they're thinking about you, get curious about them. What are they wearing? How do they gesture when they talk? What makes them light up? You become the observer instead of the observed. And something magical happens. When you're genuinely interested in someone else, they feel it, they relax, they open up. And suddenly, you're not the awkward person trying not to say something stupid. You're the person who makes others feel heard. That's actually a superpower. We've saved the best for last. Third technique, the rehearsal room. This one might sound a little weird, but stick with me. Before you go into any social situation that makes you nervous, go to your rehearsal room. Not a real room, the one in your head. Here's how it works. Think about one specific thing you're worried about. Maybe it's introducing yourself. Maybe it's joining a conversation. Now play it out. Step by step. You walk up, you make eye contact, you say your line. They respond positively. The key is visualizing it going well. Not perfect, just well. Because here's what your brain does when it doesn't have a script, it writes the worst possible ending. But when you give it a better story, it starts expecting that instead. I used to do this before every job interview. Every first date, every time I had to speak up in a meeting. And you know what happened? Those situations started feeling familiar instead of foreign, like I'd been there before, because in a way I had. As we close this episode, let's wrap it up with a quick conclusion. Look, social anxiety makes everything feel like walking into a room where everyone already decided they don't like you. But that's not reality. That's just your brain trying to protect you from something that isn't actually dangerous. With these 3 techniques, anchoring, flipping, and rehearsing, you're giving your brain new information. You're saying, hey, we've got this. We know what to do. Here's what I want you to try this week. Pick one social interaction. Doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's asking the barista how their day is going. Maybe it's commenting on a friend's Instagram story. Use one technique, just one, and notice what happens. Because here's the thing about small wins. They add up. Every time you show up despite the anxiety, you're proving to your brain that you can handle this. And eventually, it starts to believe you. If this helped you even a little bit, smash that like button. Seriously, it helps more people find this when they're at 2 a.m. Googling why do I hate parties. And subscribe if you want more of this stuff. Practical ways to work with your brain instead of against it. I'm curious though, what's your go-to social anxiety hack? Drop it in the comments. Seriously. Because here's what I know to be true. You deserve to feel comfortable in your own skin. You deserve to connect with people without your brain turning it into a survival scenario. Even Pedro Pascal has to remind himself sometimes that he's safe. The difference is he keeps showing up anyway, and so can you.